From some of the best romances to incredible characters and being one of the best stories on TV, Outlander has it all. But fans are always looking for more shows that are similar to it. Well, I've got the perfect shows for you, starting with Poldark. Many of you might already know about this one. That's just how much these two shows share in common. Not just that, but the show is led by none other than Aidan Turner, Jack Farthing, and Eleanor Tomlinson, along with Debbie Horsfield acting as the show's creator.
Well, the intriguing thing about Series 5 is that what we're doing is we're filling in the gaps.
You might be asking yourself what the show is even about. Well, wait no more. It's another period drama with a lot of romance in it. Revolving around the story of the main character, who's also called Poldark, the character makes an iconic return from the American Revolutionary War, something no one expected. I mean, even his family assumed he was dead and continued on with his life. After that entire debacle is dealt with, the character ends up starting his own business and has to face a whole new set of problems. Things that he could never have imagined to happen to him. Not just that, but he also ends up finding love and so much more. But romance is where Poldark ends up being even better than Outlander, and a lot of fans of both shows agree with that. It's also got some incredible secondary characters, some that you'll never forget. All in all, it's a show that's just as good as Outlander and a true recommendation for fans of the show. With that said, I have to talk about The Essex Serpent. What's there to say about this show other than the fact that it's absolutely incredible? Though it's to be noted that this one's more of a mini-series that you can go watch on Apple TV+, unlike the rest on this list, but that surely doesn't mean that it's not just as good as the others. I mean, with Cleo Bernard both directing and even somewhat writing the show, it's bound to be incredible. Not just that, but you've also got none other than Tom Hiddleston leading the cast, along with other incredible actors such as Claire Danes and Frank Delane. So, what's it about? Well, the show is a really moody and atmospheric romance with a lot going on. Once again, it's another period drama, but this time it's set in the Victorian era, 1893 to be exact. Following the story of the fan favorite Cora Seaborn, a woman who has just escaped from her abusive husband and is trying to start over. Obviously, she moves over to Essex, as the name implies, and this is where things start to really get interesting. Right when she starts to believe that the entire village in which she's living is haunted. What's it haunted by? Well, none other than the mythological sea serpent. It's truly intriguing and more than worth the time. The similarities between the two shows are pretty obvious, and it's the same things that it shared with Poldark. There's certainly a rise in demand for such shows these days, and I'm all for it. Speaking of incredible shows, here's Gentleman Jack. This might be another period drama, but it's quite different from the rest. Why is that? Well, simply because it's a comedy that manages to keep the same spirit as Outlander. And it's actually brilliant, starring some of the biggest names in the industry, such as Gemma Whelan, Sophie Rundle, and even Serene Jones. Just when you thought it couldn't get better, you find out that Sally Wainwright is the creator of it. But that's far from all the show has got going for itself. The story itself is incredible, and the cast does an incredible job of putting it out into the world. But enough about that, let's talk about the story. It's based on Anne Lister and all of the personal issues that she had to deal with, at least the ones that you know from her diaries and the like. But the show aims to bring those to life while keeping it pretty lighthearted, essentially showing off her relationships with her family, tenants, servants, and even her future wife. While it may sound like a goofy comedy, it ends up bringing viewers to tears at the same time. So it's truly a one-of-a-kind show that everyone should watch, especially if you're a fan of shows like Outlander. On the other hand, you've got Timeless. Timeless truly stands out from the rest, mainly because it's more sci-fi than it is a period piece. Though they travel through time, there are episodes where just that happens, along with all the other goodness you love from Outlander, starring none other than Malcolm Barrett, Matt Lanter, and even Abigail Spencer, along with both Sean Ryan and Eric Kripke as the show's creators. And the plot just makes it better. While it may not be the most unique one out there, it's done so incredibly that it just makes you want more. Sadly, the show ended back in 2018. But anyways, the plot. The show follows a story of 3 different characters: a history professor called Lucy Preston, a scientist called Rufus Carlin, along with a soldier called Wyatt Logan. They're a usual trio, but they must work together to save America. From what? Well, from Garcia Flynn, the show's time-traveling villain who's trying to change America's history. Despite only having a couple of dozen episodes, the show has managed to make a place in a lot of people's hearts. And fans of Outlander would surely like it because of how similar some of the dynamics and all of that are in the show. With that said, there's no way I can miss out on The Vikings. This is a show that all of you have probably heard of already. It's been one of the biggest shows in the past few years. But here's a quick recap for any of you who might not know much about it. The show stars another group of incredible actors such as Alexander Ludwig, Gustav Skarsgård, and even Catherine Winnick. The 3 have taken off in the industry since the show came out. Not just that, but you've also got Michael Hurst as the show's creator, really taking it up a notch. The show does an incredible job of taking viewers off into the past to the world of Ragnar Lothbrok, showing you just how a simple Viking farmer who just wanted to explore lands far away ended up being such a big deal. Of course, you get to see him and his crew take on different lands and raid them, ultimately making them their own. It's one of those rare shows that really live up to its reputation. Fans of Outlander would love this because of the narrative, but also because of the character dynamics. And finally, I can't end this video without talking about The Spanish Princess, a show that truly moves anyone who watches it with an incredible female lead. Of course, that's to be expected when you've got people like Charlotte Hope, Aaron Cobham, and even Laura Carmichael starring in it. And I can't forget about the show's creators.
I must return to Spain.
I'm coming for.
You've got none other than Emma Frost and even Matthew Graham on that end. That's enough to let anyone know just how good this show is, but let's talk about the plot itself. It's based on none other than, of course, the Spanish princess called Catherine of Aragon, who's a Catholic royal. You follow her story leading up to her marriage to a guy from the Tudor dynasty, ultimately shaping up the events that make up the modern-day world of the West. A truly inspiring and incredible story that everyone needs to see. That's been a look into some shows that Outlander fans need to see.